Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st Millennium. I am Inquisitor Caveat Ventus, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is my report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesys adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee, Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Laura Elizabeth as Marni Schwartzenberger, and Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Vis. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band have discovered that the conspiracy on Vicodin Prime runs deeper than expected. Marni received a new lasgun, Attikus was surprised by an aggressive local Commissar, and Valentyne lied to escape their confinement. What will happen now that they've stowed away on a truck filled with orc corpses? Find out in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
Excerpt from the planet Rasmus, now Vicodin.
Right, the Space Lord said he's gonna come build a factory in our backyards. I bet we'll get all sorts of cool space stuff, like laser guns and maybe a rocket ship. You're an idiot, Barthas. He's going to enslave us. Yeah, but at least we'll be enslaved with space stuff.
Kept in the Imperial records as to the purchase of planet Vicodin. Dead orcs are smelly. Normal orcs, also kind of smelly, but dead orcs in particular are a particularly rancid, vaguely rotten vegetation smell mixed amongst all the gore and viscera. That said, honestly, Marni, this is your, like, love the smell of napalm in the morning kind of vibe. Like, this is your Axe body spray if you had it.
Yeah, I basically just kind of nudge one with my toe and say, these are dead orcs. That's it.
So the good news is the sound of the, because you'll remember these vehicles are, everything in 40K is vaguely primitive, but like they've got like big heavy wheels and like you're kicking up gravel. Like this isn't a great like paved metropolis. So there's a good amount of noise. So the three of you can talk confidently. Not that Marni would care about this, but Valentyne sure as fuck would. You can talk confidently knowing that there's enough sound from this like trawler kind of grinding along that you can kind of talk in peace. But yes, you find yourselves amidst a bunch of orcs, sort of some tangled metal gear, just a bunch of mess. You get the sense that visually, these guys were probably shoveled up and dumped in here. They haven't been sorted. They haven't been cleaned. This is just a garbage pile of dead orcs.
Weapons and all?
The weapons are missing. There are some broken weapons, but you get the sense that that might be the only thing that was plucked out in case any of them were still vaguely alive. Orcs being particularly hardy lads and lasses. Not exactly who you want to leave with anything they could, end of Die Hard up out of a sheet with. There's like broken shootas and sluggas, but again, orc weapons, very strange. And honestly, some of these don't look like they were broken by anything other than falling out of an orc's hand. Bit of a mess, literally and figuratively.
All right, friends, so we're heading into a factory. I have some unfortunate news, but it will be of great interest to all of us. And by unfortunate, I mean unfortunate for our enemies. Thanks, Emperor. What a great day. So here's the deal. I'm pretty sure that all of Vicodin's alcohol is actually made from fermented dead orcs, which makes it a crime, which means Inquisitor Barthas Billingberg the 12th will be declared excommunicata traitoris, meaning we have to kill him. We also have to kill Glasgow Vicodin, and we may need to purge this whole world of life. What fun. What a fun challenge, especially with a ticking clock to save the Emperor. So we need to cause enough trouble to bring down Messieurs Vicodin and Billingberg to this factory. So we could either pretend to be someone important, which we have a mixed bag attempt at, as if we meet people who are corrupt, they will either jail us, shoot us in the face, or jail us and then shoot us in the face, as I like to call it, the Old Inquisition Special. Or we could try to blend in wherever we find ourselves, trade our uniforms, maintain our weapons, and try to cause some sort of mass sabotage, either through explosives, if you know anything about that, or any other kind of saboteur danger activities. I open the floor to feedback, questions, and ideas, because I do believe you two are more experienced in the mayhem category than I am.
Before Attikus responds, Tom, since he's been on Vicodin longer than at least Valentyne, I don't know about Marni, but he's been in the Glorious Regals. Has he imbibed Vicodin brand?
Well, I would
okay.
assume so. If he's a drinking man,
He is.
This
He
is,
would be. Yep.
And
I just
again,
wasn't
like,
sure if it was.
yep, the pieces are starting to fall in place. Like it's been a hot second since we've talked about this, but as and Ryan, refresh my memory. They call it like it's not alcohol, but it's like alcohol or something. Like it's almost there. I don't know if you remember.
It's like it's all kind of bullshit knockoffy sounding from what we've talked about. So it's probably like a grain product that.
Oh
gets
yeah,
mixed
yeah.
with things, but yeah,
I've got
super-
what it's
yeah.
made of, just in terms of the actual name in 40k. Just I'm trying to use the lore master.
Oh fuck! I have no idea what.
Great. Fuck it. Doesn't matter.
Because
Stinky
that's
drinky.
planet by planet. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, the kinky
I
drinky.
I like stinky drinky.
Yeah. So in for the imbibers of Scotch whiskeys listening to this fine podcast, it ranges anywhere from kind of a Glenfiddich, which is like up from say like a Johnny Walker, or like anything that you just kind of get. Like it's slightly nicer, and then it ranges all the way to like very expensive and very nice.
Amasec. That's the weird.
Yes.
Right, but that's their main drink. It's not like the name for all liquors, correct?
It's not specific whether it's a brand or not. Generally speaking, it seems to be their Scotch is Amasec. That's just the generic term I've seen.
Yeah.
At least.
So, what you would know about Vicodin is that Vicodin has always been like, in a sense, the Pepsi to, and sorry, it's Amasec?
Amasec. AMASEC.
Yeah. So Amasec is the Coca-Cola of fine liquors. Vicodin has always been a bit of the pretender. Now, that said, they're also willing to spend on flashiness and propaganda, essentially, in a way that Amasec doesn't, which is always the sign of like the legitimately ingrained classy one and the one that is trying to get there.
Yeah.
So that's very much... Sorry, Laura?
I prefer Pepsi.
Get out.
Cool.
Yeah,
This is
I
good
mean,
information.
a lot of people prefer
Just like,
drinking.
I just want to
stinky
say
drinking.
that like it's okay if there are people out there who like really feel attacked by what you've just said.
Look, Laura, I have seen that Kendall Jenner ad, and I know that it ended a war. So
Marni is so fucking dead. Do you realize who you're crossing with your
I can't help myself.
with
People
your
used to know
trivial
what it is.
drink preferences?
People used to joke that it was Adam versus the DM, and it's not. You could listen to Dumb Scum, and Adam and Tom are on the same team. Laura is taking shots at real Tom, just real Tom state.
No, I think you're
think
going
I'm just
after
defending
Tyler on this
myself.
one. This man likes Coca-Cola.
That's right, but I ain't no brand ambassador.
Yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
This shit's killing me.
I can't
say it
speak
right now
for-
on the fucking air.
I can't speak for Pepsi or Cola, but I got to tell you, MeUndies is a wonderful product. And if you enter...
It's a real smooth drink, too. You can choke a MeUndies down, no problem.
Exactly. It's great. You got to be real
I'm
careful
sorry.
about that. It's a bad
I
obituary.
wanted people to know that it was okay.
Yeah, that's cool. I wasn't actually speaking to the quality of the beverage, but more so the way it's advertised. But I mean, cool. Let's talk about flavor some more.
Everyone knows the phrase is Pepsi okay. So there's already like an established mythos around these two brands.
Like Coca-Cola runs one ad a year, and it's with the Santa Claus they invented.
Yeah.
Pepsi has to hire celebrities to pull stunts in order to even be remembered as a product. So like, not quite the same deal.
Pepsi had to do that TV ad where people drank both and were like, wow, it isn't worse. Like, and Coke didn't have to run that ad.
Yeah, that's how you know you're on top, when you don't have to run the ad where people are surprised your product isn't shit. And admittedly, it's not, but they do try hard.
Also,
So
I like
regardless-
7-Up better than Sprite. I'll say
I'm
that
so
right up front,
sorry
but-
I walked us down this.
No,
That's all right.
we
I
got...
agree with Ryan. 7-Up is the superior beverage. Listeners at home, what beverage would you like to talk about instead of Warhammer 40k, a grimdark universe, the 41st millennium of humanity?
There's
I'm just
40
delaying my inevitable demise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
getting
before we resolve this combat, Tom, let's talk about our favorite snacks.
Yeah,
If I can push character creation like one more episode, I'll be happy.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't really want an Eldar showing up being like, "My name is Pepsi's good."
Yeah.
It really kind of fucking off the tone of the show.
Pepsi Cola.
The new
Depends how
hello
you
new
kill
friend
me.
is just, is Coke okay?
We like to have fun around here. But you know who doesn't have fun? People in a grimdark future, which is where we still are.
Tom, I have
talking
one joke I have to make. I can't stop. I'm sorry, but Pepsi is definitely made by the Tau. I have to say it. It's a deep cut 40K reference, and I stand by it.
Yeah. And then RC Cola is the squats.
Oh, yeah.
It was here for a while, and then everyone forgot about it. Great. That's very good. I like that a
I
lot.
think the tower cool.
Does that make the Primarchus Marines new Coke? No one really likes them, but we just have to suffer through them for a little bit until we go back to the original Marines?
Yes.
Damn. So regardless, this liquor is a thing. Don't relate it to any brands you know. I
To answer
guess.
your question, Tyler, yes, you've drank it.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you. With this revelation, I feel an immediate need to come clean with my new inquisitorial leader. So a finger from Atticus's fleshy hand just goes right up, and he just starts trying to like purge. And between like attempts of like, he's basically confessing like, I drank it, sir. I drank the Vicodin.
It's all right. It's all right. Here, we will purge that sin by purging the sinner who fooled you. That's the whole thing. We need to be focused forwards. You are a strong bastion of the Imperial might. And if for some reason any of us has to drink more of this to be able to destroy them, you have permission from the Emperor to do so.
I put in a hand on Atticus's shoulder and I just say, "Remember, Captain, whenever you drank the Vicodin, it means orcs were dead. And that is good."
Well, that is true, I suppose.
Marni, have you just eaten orc? This feels like something that may have happened over your years out in the wilderness.
Sometimes, when one is desperate, one may eat the enemy.
All right, let's... okay, here, I agree with the
It's very
necessity.
matter of fact.
The Emperor wanted you to do that before you got here. I just want to specify in future that that is not true should we be facing demons. There are a lot of things you can eat. Do not eat the stuff of the warp. That will go incredibly poorly for you.
Agreed.
Excellent.
Like-
All right, so
yeah.
ideas about mayhem, just to bring us back around to the moment we're in. So what's the best way?
If we need to cause a situation that brings them down here, what about a hostage crisis or something? Someone's got to run the distillery. We could take him hostage, cause the higher ups to come on down. Now that does require us to survive a siege, and I don't rightly know how we'll escape, but it is an option. Otherwise, we'd go around just destroying the bloody distillery. It is heretical, after all, a monument to heresy.
All right, I like that. So we've got kind of two ideas from Atticus, either kidnapping kind of a VIP or someone in charge, or we just try to blow up as much of the place as possible. Marni, you've been doing a lot of behind enemy lines work. Well, what would you suggest?
I would suggest following your command.
Do you know what? This does help narrow down the options. All
Guys,
right,
remember Lyric? Lyric would never have chucked that bullshit.
Whatever you want, boss.
I'm taking this truck for myself and my brother.
It's hard to fight down those instincts, I'll be honest.
No, it's good. One thing I'd like to just add, because for those of you listening at home, this is just the next episode. 1 week later, for us, it's been a lifetime.
We recorded last year. It was
Yeah.
not 2021.
We all have children in college now. It's been a thing, but honestly, I think President Harris is doing a great job. But just so you remember, the way Vicodin as a planet is set up, you've got the rolling green highlands, but the actual plant itself, The distillery is within essentially a feudal society, as I alluded to in my little bumper at the beginning here. It's got the kind of classic touristy, you can come tour the distillery look of like at ground level, and for a few stories, it looks like an old fortress. Above that, it is very clearly an industrial building. So just so you kind of remember the situation you're going into, you're behind a shield that has protected the distillery and its guests from the warfare outside. So much so that if any of you peeked out the side, you would see that inside the shielding, there actually seems to be minor hollow projection, making it seem as though the rolling green highlands are still outside. Now, granted, it's 40K hollow projection, so it's like one of those weird broken LCD like dot screens where it's just like slightly off, but everyone's used to pollution being bad enough, they just kind of assume that's part of the shtick. But just to keep in mind, you're basically driving into a feudal fortress situation. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, continue.
All right, so it sounds like we might just want to see how things play out, because if we can get access to explosives, then we go with plan A, and if we can get access to someone important, we can go with plan B. I would say we probably want to, rather than kidnap them, draw guns, and assume they're important, I would assume we could take them quietly, and perhaps they have some way to send kind of some sort of 40001 call. You know, that emergency number everyone uses throughout all of the Imperium, just when something's going wrong. But they could probably send that to their commanders. So, do we have a way to appear to be a guest? Or do we find ourselves getting into some sort of medieval clothing and trying to pretend to be employees?
Well, sir, to be frank, we are riding in the back of a corpse wagon. We're not going to look our best when we get out of here. Might behoove us to disguise ourselves as peasants, as you said.
All right, I agree with this. So here's what I think: we'll stay in the truck. Keep an eye out through the flaps. I'm assuming we're in like a World War II truck. I don't know.
Yes,
great.
that's yeah.
So keep an eye out through the flaps. So we find ourselves in some sort of area with the villagers. Step one: try to hear what their accents are, because if they all sound like me, I don't know if you two could do that. Whereas if there are a variety of accents, that would be perfect. And then we'll try to insert ourselves through that part of society.
Yeah, right, that could work. I suppose I give off the general oeuvre of a labourer.
I think that's very possible. Hopefully, we'll try to get some like oversized uniforms that you can wear over your armor, because I don't entirely want you to have to like go in without armament, etc.
I must not remove this armor at any time.
Oh, good. What a lovely requirement for this mission.
And
can
with
you
that,
remove your... She doesn't have a helmet right now, right?
No.
Okay, well, just small victories. He thinks to himself, she's like, I can't take it off. And he runs through like, does she have a helmet she can pull out? And he's like, no. Oh, praise the Emperor.
And with that, the wheels grind to a halt briefly, and you hear the crunching of footsteps on gravel as what sound like inspectors begin kind of walking along. And you hear a voice just say, "Oh, headed to cold storage, are you?" And the driver just goes, "That's right. We got a fresh load of ingredients need to be put on ice soon, rather than later. Already starting to smell. Don't want no stinky drinkies, do we?" "No, we certainly wouldn't want that." "Very good. There are 3 trucks. Very good. I will send you to cold storage bay C." "All right. I guess I'll best step on the pedal then." And with that, there's kind of that jolting World War II truck thing where like all the machinery is vaguely held together by just the hope of a nation. The vehicle kind of shudders and begins to move forward. You can feel the vehicle starting to turn a bit, and you get the sense that it's pulling away from the other vehicles. They all seem to have been directed to different cold storage bays.
Excellent.
That going down an incline now.
I think Valentyne would creep over to the side and try to like pull up one of the little flaps to see where they are, because we just need a place to where we can essentially get off, where we aren't just people standing in an empty field.
Totally. So inside it's actually fairly densely packed. A good way to think of this is sort of Victorian. Like it doesn't, not that it looks like Victorian London, because it's got more of kind of a Germanic folk vibe, but it's densely packed, kind of like you would. I mean, let's be realistic. Like I've seen in video games where I've been walking around in that era, looking at you, Syndicate and Amnesia, Machine for Pigs. So it's just like heavy, like a lot of kind of small buildings, all of which seem to be associated with either kind of like where people sleep and eat and live, or somehow in service of it. But it really is kind of like a twisted, grimdark Disneyland of like everything that's in here is kind of here to keep up the appearance of kind of the traditional, because again, as I'm sure you've gathered, I'm ripping a lot of this off of like Scotch distilleries, where it's very much like tradition means something here. Like they're trying to keep up the vibe of like this is a small family operation run by feudal people. So very much that kind of sense. So there are no fields. There's kind of the wall with the shield, and then densely packed small buildings. You're going down. You have kind of reached a paved area. And you're kind of on a downslope. I said going down an incline, which makes me want to kill myself. You're going down the decline.
It's sort of an incline from someone's perspective. You're good.
Thank you. Yeah. Pepsi glass is half full and all that. So you're kind of rolling down and around, and you get the sense, if you've ever been to like a Canadian fort. I also worked for the Parks and Recreation Council of Ontario. A lot of the kind of low ground stuff is down sort of ramps and that sort of thing off to the side. So you've kind of got the nice big central structure, but Valentyne, probably you more so than these two, would recognize, oh, we're like going into the plant proper now. So you basically have a few moments between now and when you actually enter the plant. If you want to hop off and grab outfits to do that, or you can remain in the car and roll the dice, literally and figuratively, on where these trucks are going.
I was going to say, like, just to color that moment of like, we're all like mingled with these corpses. And so Attikus like squirms over to Valentyne and like kind of big spoons him because he's looking out this flap, and we're like cheek to cheek. And Attikus just says, are we seeing this ride to the end, sir? Are we hopping out early?
I think we need to get out and get our uniforms. From what we've learned, they are heavily armed, and we are all far too close to death. So off, let's go. And Valentyne will just reach up, and he's got the Inquisition symbol on his cap, and he just pulls it off, and he can flip it around, and it's just got the Commissariat symbol as like a neutral thing, and he just tucks his necklace. So now he looks like a Commissar. Nice. No Inquisition.
Does he like hate himself now? Because so far we've only seen you be a complete dick to Commissars.
I mean, he's gonna be tempted to be more of a petty asshole for sure. Like,
I was gonna say, like,
he knows the role.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, amazing. So Ryan, given that you're the one giving the order, I'm gonna get you to go ahead and roll. Let's go with perception or vigilance. You can take one of the two.
Cool.
We're gonna say difficulty of 3.
Okay.
Since this is the start of like a brand new series of things and we've had some downtime, I'm gonna say straight split of 2 and 2.
Okay.
For story points.
Story points.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a setback dice for all of you being kind of soaked in orc gore and smells. But I will give you a boost dice for having already passed the checkpoint. Getting on board these things was a pretty big get for you guys. So security is much lighter here. Again, you're if we're talking in airport terms, you are past the scanners. That's not to say there isn't security over here, but the scrutiny is somewhat less because someone, I don't know, x-rayed your shoes, so you must be fine.
Yeah, all right. Let's roll them bones then. 4 successes.
Nice.
Amazing.
Awesome.
So you see exactly what you were hoping for. There are 2 somewhat dilapidated little cottages that I mean, your brain kind of infers all this information very quickly, but they're completely just decked out in soot, like coated in just a fucking disgusting, even in a 40K universe that is relatively grimy, not just grimy. But like the trucks come by here every day, multiple times, so they've just been belching fumes onto these things. So you can tell that they were once dwellings, but now they're just kind of awkward sheds because no one can possibly live here now. And it's exactly what you wanted because there's a little alleyway between them. No one is living in them, and you obviously can't like take shelter there, but you can definitely use them as cover. So seeing your opportunity, how do you give the word to jump off the cart?
I think he'd do probably like what he'd have learned at the Scala Progenium, because I feel like military, probably like sign language and stuff like that is probably like kind of sector universal, because you wouldn't want to teach your commissars like, and here's how you do hand signals. Totally different from all the regiments. Like regiments probably have their own, but there'd still be something kind of universal. Sure. So I think it's just that like 3 to 2 fingers to 1 finger to the fist, just do that weird like downward fist pump people do. Mm-hmm. And then just like waving to the side. It's like a little tiny cramped, I'm in a car full of like corpses, just almost, what is it? The guys at the end of the runway on like the fighter jet launchers. They're just like that way, go that way.
Yeah, they like the pointer sticks are bigger than the motions they can make. So it's just great. Okay, so I need athletics checks, please, from all 3 of you.
Righty.
Happy to oblige.
Thought you might be.
What's our difficulty, Tom?
Just a difficulty of 2. This is actually not a difficult thing to do, except that you're kind of in a ball pit made of dead orcs. So they're not particularly solid. Some of them are rather squingy. So that's really your only difficulty factor on that. I'll say if you want to do it stealthily, I'll give you 1 setback dice. If you're not worried about stealth, don't worry about it.
Yeah, this is jumping off of a truck. It's not Valentine's strong suit, so I think he's just going to be the guy who's hoping that like the location's good.
Yep, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to roll.
1 success for Valentyne.
Wow.
3 successes, 2 advantages for Marni.
Nice. This was tighter than I'm comfortable with it being. 2 successes, 1 advantage.
Okay. So all 3 of you clamber out. Valentyne, your commissar coat gets caught on something as you do. So there's an awkward moment of you kind of having to run hop along as the truck continues to drive. Realistically, no one is paying any attention. No one sees this, but for you, it is one of those moments of just like, oh my God, I'm so exposed. And it's kind of like silly and ridiculous and frustrating, and it kind of hurts all the wounds you've got. But eventually you manage to get your cloak free and kind of rush over to meet the other 2. And of course, as with most moments where we, flail awkwardly and no one's looking, no one else has noticed or cared. For you, it was the end of the world for like a good 3 seconds. Maybe Eugene clocked it, but no one else got it. So you make it over there, slightly out of breath, and slightly behind Attikus and Marni.
That could have gone tremendously bad, but unfortunately it didn't. The Emperor and such. Eugene, and he'll just gesture him over and just be like, hey, could you run through any sort of local radio frequencies and just see if there's something that says, and he tries to come up with phrases that he thinks would appear in advertising for places where the guard would be welcome, but just like Imperial Guard, Victory, Guardsman, Guardswoman, Commissar, discount. It's like he's trying to do an SEO search to see if there's somewhere they could try to find as a more solid home base.
That's discount.
I like that a lot. Okay, Ryan, go ahead with
Is it just like a perception if we're flipping through channels? Would that work? His ability
No, I just want to lean into one of your because this is one of those weird like just letting the fate of the game decide the thing rather than me arbitrarily deciding for you. So I feel like this might be skullduggery or streetwise.
All right, I'll go with streetwise because that is one of his strengths, and this does feel improvisational in that streetwise kind of sense.
Definitely. So this is going to be a difficulty of 3, okay. But no boost or actually, I'll give you a boost because you're wearing your commissar outfit.
Cool.
Yeah,
just makes me feel empowered. I like it.
Yeah. I just feel better about it. It's good.
I have 3 advantage.
Okay. All right. Sure. So you do. Eugene does pick up the broadcast, and it seems like it's one of those like in-store PA announcements, but of course it's got that vaguely teeny Terry Gilliam quality to it because 40K tech. And it's like, it says, hi there. This is Tyron Messner, your local shopping representative here in the Vicodin plant. And I know what you're thinking. It would be so great for me to take just a little touch of Vicodin back to my home regiment. Well, I got good news for you, Commissar. Here at the in-factory gift shop, we've got tremendously good deals on Vicodin brand commissariat gear. Everything you need. Need a new hat, possibly in our trademark green? We've got it. That's right. Commissars receive a 10% discount on all purchases within the gift shop inside the plant. Thank you for shopping Vicodin. Don't forget to drink responsibly. Ha wink. And then it loops to like some incredibly shitty, like, are you a Lord of Terra? Have you brought your Lord of Terra card? Well, good news. You can get a stamp for your galaxy-wide tour.
Yeah, and Valentyne just reaches out, like, boops Eugene on the nose, and it just stops. And he's like, okay, so we need to get inside the plant, and I need a High Lord of Terra card. It just sounds nice, you know? I wonder what it looks like. I've always wanted to know what he looks like. Do you think they have a portrait? I'm sorry, this is distracting, and we need to say focus on the mission, not excited about imperial bureaucracy.
So I got to ask Marni and Attikus. I think I know Atticus's answer. How does the prospect of, like, a gift shop strike either of you? Is this something you've encountered before? Does this seem completely ridiculous? What is your experience with the idea of a gift shop?
Marni is confused as to what that is. And is she's kind of in like, I think when she like doesn't understand something, it's just like, okay, like there isn't really enough time to like ask questions either. So it's just kind of like trusting the Inquisitor. We'll go along. We'll stay vigilant.
And I think we pretty much determined, like, you signed up as young as you humanly could for this, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've basically just been a soldier your whole life.
Yeah, I don't think there are gift shops on Cadia.
Well, also, if you're pure military, like, they would never be deploying you to somewhere that would have it. It's actually insane that this place has it, except that obviously beyond the wall, it's meant for softer people.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, cool. And Attikus, how about you?
Oh yeah, exactly the same as Marni. I don't know if he's heard those two words together before.
Right, fair enough.
Just gift, so it's free. It's for me. But
No,
shop implies commerce, trade. I don't.
So you've never heard of a gift shop?
No, sir.
Marni, have you heard of a gift shop?
Are the gifts for us or for the orcs?
Neither. So to explain this, and Valentyne, his head is like racing because he's like, they know about the Emperor, but they don't know about gift shops. On the whole, good. Still challenging. And he's like, so the idea behind a gift shop is there are certain worlds, the ones that you've protected by sacrificing your bodies, your lives, and your friends in the name of the Emperor. There are certain worlds where people go for things like vacations, where it's all very a nice beach because they want to lay around and behave slothfully because they feel like they've worked hard enough for the Emperor.
It is shore leave.
Yes. Shore leave for non-military people. So they go to nice places. When they're there, they often want to get gifts for those who did not take part in the journey. As you know, you don't all get shore leave necessarily at the same time. Some people don't even get it for years because conflict flares up again, or, I don't know, your employer is kind of an asshole. So they go to the store where they are. It's called a gift shop because you can purchase a gift that you may want to give someone else to remind them that you yourself got shore leave when they didn't. It's considered to be kind, but I've always considered it cruel and pointless, and thus a great tradition in the Imperium. So it's a store that sells small novelties and knickknacks that are intended to be vaguely insulting gifts.
Right. Understood.
So what this does tell me is there is a way for Imperial personnel to go inside the factory to have access to that store. So we could theoretically enter in our military garb if we clear off all of this excrement and blood. So there's that, where we could just kind of walk around and go, we're here to go to the gift shop. And that won't be jarring in the way that we would think if we were like, hello, I'd like to go to the middle of the factory where the bomb would be problematic. If we clean ourselves up, we may just be able to wander around and pretend to be tourists, which is tempting. Or we could go into someone's home, knock them out and steal their clothing, and then try to enter as employees. There is a simplicity, looking at the two of you, there is a simplicity to you not having to create an alternate persona of which you have no information.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with not having to do any sort of a clandestine maneuver. You know, old lefty here, kind of conspicuous.
It's my
Agreed.
right arm.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Marnie's kind of like caught up in like where people would like keep knickknacks that are like vaguely insulting once they received them.
Marni,
That's kind of where her head's been at the whole time.
Marni, you seem distracted.
May not be important, but what is the point of these knickknacks? I assume you were talking about AMSEC or drugs or vouchers for sexual services from the locals.
Well, I mean, I can't say it's not that, because every world is kind of its own experience. But in many cases, it's more like a small statue made of a cheap rock shaped like a thing you've seen, or, you know, a piece of card stock with an image of where you were standing before. You're thinking of things people might want. I'm saying these are gifts that will take up space that no one wants. That's the purpose of these gifts. Again, to be vaguely insulting. The only accepted social response is to display them somewhere very prominently and then talk about your friend's adventure as though it were your own when people ask. Again, not typically of interest to the military. This would be for people on shore leave to then return to the domicile and cubicle that they will live the rest of their life in.
So I just say, like, honestly, the existence of such shops is insulting to people who have died to protect them.
I feel the same way, but this will let us get into the factory.
Yes.
So
There's
I
no
need
argument for me.
So I need you both to decide who you want to get a gift for. So if someone stops you and asks you, and I'm not there to tell a story, you already know your answer. So who
For
are you
the
getting?
Emperor.
Actually, that's not a bad answer. Okay, you get the Emperor. Excellent choice. What about you, Attikus? Who are you getting a gift for?
Looking for the name. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I've definitely got something in mind for Keresid's Skullcrawler.
Do you know what? Yeah, let's go with that. And I will say that I'm getting a gift for my dear friend, Commissar Lucius Valentyne, so that we can make sure that if the people we are dealing with are part of this conspiracy, they will believe that we are allied with them. It will keep us safer over time. So let's find somewhere to clean off the fungal remains of the Xenos, and then we can go and try to find a gift shop.
So with that, the small band, Inquisitorial band, goes in search of showers to get refreshed. You manage to find a place to kind of clean yourselves up, and as you're doing so, a massive bell begins to ring. And we're talking one of those like big fucking classic sort of monk abbey bells, reverberating throughout the town. And I think we'll say you're in kind of the equivalent of like a janitorial closet. Like, it's not like a proper shower. It's more so just like one of those like little mop sinks that has like a big enough faucet that you're able to like give yourself a quick splashdown. And you start to hear the tromping of feet, many feet, as it seems people are spilling out of the buildings all around you. You see the local Vicodonians in their sort of forest green robes, embroidered with kind of a classic stag, like a stylized red stag. But of course it's 40K, so it's got like two heads and I don't know, a skull probably somewhere. You as you kind of duck down and sort of stare through the glass of this small shed you're in, You can see that the workers all wear kind of like a traditional like monk's robe, belted with a red cord at their waist, and like a few utility pouches because, you know, the future. You notice that they seem to have the stylized letter V that you recognize from all the labels branded onto their faces. So just kind of straight down across the eye to the chin and back up to the other side of the forehead. They walk with that low-shouldered slump that all large theme park employees eventually get. And over a loudspeaker, you hear the comforting voice of Tyron Messner saying, "Well, hello, everybody. You know what that bell means. It's time for special visitors. And boy, howdy, do we have some special guests visiting the plant today. We've got, let's see here. We've got Francis Aquino, whose birthday it is. Francis, welcome. But more importantly, we have the pride of the glorious Regals. That's right, the Skullcrawlers are here today. It is a celebratory day to have such high-profile guests celebrating their latest victory on the fields of battle. So welcome, Skullcrawlers. We look forward to servicing you here at Vicodin. Now, everybody, let's sing the welcome song. And in a dreary chorus, a vaguely "It's a Small World After All" sort of chorus of the damned kicks in, singing about what a jolly day it is for a Vicodin. And as this chorus of the damned kind of rings throughout the streets, you see a massive sort of like almost 3-car convoy, bit of a parade come rolling through. And Attikus, sure enough, sitting atop the first vehicle with a working dude from the army on one arm and a working lady from the army on another, is Carisat Vicodin, smile on her face, and just a pint glass of Vicodin in each hand. And it might just be a trick of the light, but you could almost swear that she looks directly at you. From the employee handbook of the Vicodin City on planet Vicodin. Vicodin is the world after all. Repeat 7 times. Do not miss one time or your pay will be docked 10% of available crowns. Please note, in order to continue to live in your ancestral homes, you truly must nail the chant. Once more with feeling. What kind of world is it? It is a Vicodin world, after all. Don't forget to wash your hands after the bathroom. As the bell continues to ring and the chorus of the damned sings their very important crown dockable, if incorrect, Vicodin chant, Attikus, you see Carisat Skullcrawler, not Vicodin. I fucked up. Too many names that are kind of weird and Latin-y. Sort of scan the crowd, and for a moment you fear that she's staring directly at you. Of course, you are ducking within a shed some distance away. She would have to have the Inquisitor's eyes to be able to really pick you up at this distance, but it's just one of those weird, kind of vaguely surreal moments where, like, you kind of almost do make eye contact, but she clearly can't see you. Her gaze continues over. And it's a very different woman than who you met previously. This is clearly her as the conquering hero on shore leave. And I think for you, Vis, a lot of things are starting to click together from kind of that vague sense that something was off that you've had about how the unit works, how the army works here, how the Glorious Regals have been operating. The fact that Vicodin, theoretically, a mid-shelf liquor was widely available in the mess hall. The fact that, people like the Skullcrawlers were content to just kind of do jobs that you really, like, you were excited to be part of that unit. But it did seem odd that they liked being here as very efficient, kind of mission-driven people. And suddenly seeing kind of this side of things, that sort of cycle of like just keep the army super, super happy and they'll just kind of shut up and keep the war going is becoming abundantly clear. So there's, I think, a certain sense of closure to that, as well as frustration, because this is not what armies are for.
That also adds a complication. So ducking in, I'll say,
Skull crawlers are here, sir. With Kerasit. I'm gonna be easier to spot if they're around.
Yes, I'm thinking we need to find you some kind of helmet or something that you can wear to hide your face. And we might need to find some sort of cloth that we could use to disguise your breastplate. It is somewhat memorable on the scale of things. And he just looks down at the like gorgeous portrait of like the radiant emperor that's hand painted over the armor. And he's like, yeah, that, this, and he points at his face, and this, wonderful on their own. But for the purpose of this mission, we need to turn them into something else. Is there anything? No one has a helmet, right? That would just be really convenient. And he just like looks around the room in desperate hope that there's just like a helmet in the corner.
I was going to make you roll, but that would be cruel given how long it takes to roll dice in this game. You scan the room. No such luck. Again, you're in kind of it's not even like the main janitorial shed. This is just kind of we keep some things here in case the trucks break down, or if you need,
Marni, do you have any bandages? Like, I just want to look through our stuff and see if we've got any shit where we could try to do him up as walking wounded, where he's like, the burned victim, where you do that invisible man thing.
If you want bandages, there definitely is a first aid kit in here. There's no helmets, but because it's like an emergency shed. Yes,
I think before you spot that first aid kit, I'm just like kind of like lift up my shirt to where I'm like bandaged, and it's like I'm like, there are some that do not have my blood on them. And I like offer to take them off.
No. I need you at full combat operational possibilities. We don't want you to be injured. Also, I found a first aid kit. And he just like opens it up and he's like, it's time for us to disguise you as someone we could call, walking wounded. Here. Oh, do you want to take a seat or something? This could take a minute. And then Tom, I'd just like to use the bandages to just like bandage up his head so that you can't really see who the hell he is.
Okay. This is a mechanic that we've only recently started futzing with, and I want to make sure we use it very judiciously. But given how big this ask is, normally if this was like D&D, I'd ask you for stress or some such. That said, I think it would be safe to say you can burn a story point to avoid having to.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let's just do that.
And
I think that'll always be negotiable. It's never like, oh, we want to do this huge
totally
thing,
it's not going to be like, okay, well, I just burned a story point and turns out my hand was a grenade the whole time.
Oh, damn it. That's my idea.
Yep, well, should have got there sooner. So you start to bandage him up, and over the loudspeaker, you hear the dulcet tones of your old pal Tyron, just saying like, "That's right, everybody. It is our Wounded Warrior Day here at the Vicodin plant. We've got the skull crawlers here to show the troops that there's still heroes out there fighting on the field, even though they're relatively untouched by the grim darkness of war. Ha ha! That's skill for you. But for the rest of you who are less good at the grim dark war, we are also excited to offer a 5% discount at the gift shop, as well as the limited plebeian tours, which will be available to you while the VIP tours are in progress. So come on down, see what a real hero looks like, and get a taste of that sweet, sweet Vicodin. Love that Vicodin. So we would like to welcome the following wounded warriors to our facility. We've got, of course, Mr. Dyreth Varder, who will be here today, and then he lists off a bunch of other names. So you've got that. You've got Flapter Bone Skewer, who I understand lived up to his name. The bones poked out of his flesh. And finally, we've got. Let me see here. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't wear my glasses today. Nope, that's everyone. Oh, and Garthy McGotherton. Oh, come on, guys. Garthy McGotherton. That's clearly a fake. Okay. You know what? Fuck you guys. I'm getting a drink. No, you could read the rest of the names on your own. No, I don't work. And then the feed cuts out.
you hear like another guy come up. Yeah, the biggest dickest and penis weenus. And it just gets cut off. It's like his shitty assistant comes out.
Yeah, there's just a gunshot, and then the mic cuts out. I'm just imagining that Simpsons like Kent Brockman title card they throw up whenever he starts swearing. That's just him in like a straitjacket screaming obscenities. So yeah, it's something in that phone.
Yeah, I think if there's a discount for wounded people, then I think Valentyne would also probably like bandage up one of his shoulders, like over his coat to do like a mini sling or something, so that if someone has to fight him at some point, his basic idea is they'll go for the injury, which he'd way rather they think is his uninjured arm than his actually injured gut.
Okay, sure.
There you go. So we got Valentyne a swing. Marni's already a train wreck of bandages, so that's fine. And we've disguised Attikus into Bandage Man.
Great. There is a as you make your way out to the like all the people in their robes shuffling back to kind of what they're doing. The loudspeaker crackles again, and Tyrone comes back on, clearly still a little agitated, but also somewhat sheepish. Says, "Hello again. I would like to apologize to Mr. McGotherton and his family. I was unaware of the great sacrifices you've made. Both your sons is a terrible burden to have lost in this war, and I would like to apologize on behalf of, well, just myself, because of course Vicodin would never make such an error. Speaking of which, my assistant was also attempting to welcome some people. We don't think much highly of Hubert Fry, but well, it would seem he was right. So once again, Mr. Richard Flavius and Mr. Richard, Biggest Richard. Welcome to Vicodin. Well, I apologize profusely to both of you. I'm sure you come from very respected families. Welcome to Vicodin. Love that Vicodin. You will both receive a 7% discount as recompense. Enjoy your tours. And then the mic cuts out again.
Biggest Richard. Jesus.
All right. So now we need to find our way towards the tour, which we could either do in a very complicated manner, or I could do this. Hello. He just turns to somebody on the street. He's like, we're injured and here for the tour of the factory. How do we get to the gift shop? The peasant's eyes go wide, and he's kind of like a Ken Jeong looking fella, again with the V branded into his face, and just says, "Oh no, you're so far away from the gift shop. That's where all the gifts are. Space Lords, why are you so far away from the gift shop?" And then he just yells, "Everybody! There are Space Lords over here!" And immediately, just like a bunch of these shuffling robed figures come over, and they're like, "Hello, Space Lords. You are nowhere near the gift shop. We must take you there immediately. Tell me, which guests are you? Come here, listicle." And you hear like robotic clanking, and one of the first sort of cybernetically augmented peasants you've seen comes over. But who boy does he look rough. He looks like one of those droids that they like stuff in the back of a Star Wars shot just to round it out, where he's like kind of a torso with like spindly robotic chicken legs, like just those super, super thin metallic legs that are just kind of splayed at the bottom, just tottering over. And one of his arms is a massive, massive scroll that kind of drags on the ground below him. He seems to be writing upward and scrolling down. So it seems like the discarded scroll kind of comes in his wake. And he comes stumbling over, and he's got definitely like a voice box piece. All the skin around it's very red. Like again, this doesn't look like a place that really knows how to treat implants. And he just says, "Yes, welcome. Listicus 038 is here to make sure you are on the lists. May I have your names, honored guests?" Absolutely. My name is Francis Aquino. This is, and he turns to see if either of them have an answer and can remember a name that was said over the speaker.
Yeah, Attikus just speaks up and says,
Flap the bone skewer at your service.
I am so sorry for what happened to your limbs.
Oh,
You seem to have recovered.
I like flex my robotic arm and say,
Well, you know, the Emperor provides.
And if this thing could smile, it would. You also get the sense that like you're not really sure how alive this is anymore. Like it seems like halfway to a servo skull. And with its weird scroll arm, which as it lifts, you see is literally just like 2 wheels on an arm to just kind of keep the scroll moving. It says, "Welcome to the club, robot brother," and then just clangs its tiny arm off your arm.
yeah, I let him. No reason to get on edge. So just like,
Yeah, oh yeah.
And one of the
definitely.
peasants slaps him in the back of the head. There's a metallic clang, and they kind of do that like Jackie Chan punched a guy thing where their hand hurts. But they're like, "No, Listicus, your job is to deal with lists, not bother the guests." They're like, "We are so sorry, Space Lords."
Oh, he's quite all right, no harm done.
And they just look at Listicus and they're like, you don't deserve his grace. But they mark you down. And Listicus turns to Marni.
I just kind of I look at it with like an intensity of just like kind of like challenging to like question me, which is like biggest Richard.
Yes, we are
It's the only one I
sorry
can remember.
about the confusion around your name. You must forgive us. Vicodin. And it writes that down. And then suddenly its eyes go pure red. And you hear like an electronic crackle as some machinery seems to activate in its head. What do you do?
I think Valentyne will just like fold his arms and just wait because like Imperial Tech sucks balls and the names are all legit. And this does not seem like the kind of place that'll have an elaborate checkpoints of tracking where people are. We saw drunk people on a truck, so he'll wait.
Has Attikus seen this kind of behavior before?
No, you've never seen, like, again, like this is one of those weird, like planet specific weird, we mashed together a robot and a person.
Okay. So his fingers on his robot arm close into a fist, but he doesn't make any other moves.
And I think Marni just kind of leans over to Valentyne and just say, orders?
Hold position. Let's see what occurs.
Finally, there's like an alarm blare out of Listicus's mouth. You just hear like a brum, brum, brum. It says, "Thank you for your patience. Listicus had to communicate with the other listicles to ensure that all names were updated on all scrolls. Updates complete. We have been told that our confirmation noise is upsetting. We apologize. Vicodin, and then it just like starts toddling away.
That was upsetting.
So could someone point us to the gift shop?
Yeah. They're like leading full on. They just had to make sure you're on the list.
Jesus.
The
What is wrong with these people? I think to myself.
So the peasant who first met you says hi, my name is Fahugwagas, and I am one of the local peasant workers here at Vicodin. Love that Vicodin. We're so happy to have you here, Space Lords, and I'm so sorry you're so far from the gift shop. I apologize about our stupid robot, but sometimes we have to make sure that people aren't sneaking in, because that would be really bad. And Lord Vicodin would be really mad. And we don't need another incident like the scouring of Sector 2.
I haven't heard about the scouring of Sector 2 because I was at the front. Could you tell me what occurred?
Oh, well, one day some people tried to sneak in from the local army regiment and they tried to steal some Vicodin.
And Lord Vicodin was so mad. This was 2 Lord Vicodins ago. Was so mad that he burned the entire sector and everyone inside it to the ground. And it still remains to this day a smoking reminder of why disobedience is against the Emperor's will.
That makes a great deal of sense.
I kind of look knowingly over at Valentine's, scouring, efficient, as in like hoping he'll get that's like what we could do to like, I don't know, destroy shit here.
Interesting. Yes. Scouring is tremendously efficient, though I would imagine you don't truck with agitators anymore, do you? Like, how much do you think it would take to get you and your friends to become disobedient, knowing the scouring?
Oh, well, and I'm going to need you to roll some dice there, bud. Do you want to go ahead with, you're just kind of testing the waters. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm not trying to sell him on it yet.
Yeah.
This is the like prelim, like, is Marni's idea a good one? Because if this guy's like, fuck you, we kill traitors, then I'm like, okay, let's not walk down this path.
Can you give me charm or negotiation?
Sure.
This is going to be a difficulty of 4. These people are very strange. They don't react the way anyone you've ever met does to things. So you're not really like, this is a weird aside, but Miles and I recently bought a car for work. And I got to tell you, buying a used car while wearing a COVID mask makes you a superhero because all the car salesman tactics just don't work because they can't see your face at all. So it's kind of like that. Like he could be like, you're used to manipulating people in a specific way and you can't fucking read these people. They're so strange.
Yes. Is it just him or how many of them are with us?
It's just him leading you now.
Okay.
They all basically, like, now that you're getting a lay of the land, you get the sense that if your names weren't on the list, they probably would have just swarmed you and beaten you to death with their fists. Or at least try to, because that would be expected of them. But since you're on the list, it only takes one person. And honestly, the rest of them have to get back to work. Singing that fucking song takes a lot of time, and it happens several times a day. So, like, once they're done, they got to get back to work because they aren't allowed time for it. It's kind of like, we'll do your job, but also do this thing that we like. You don't like it, but we do. So you have to do it on top of your work. So 4 difficulty there. I will give you 1 boost because he seems friendly. He mostly seems excited that he's getting to talk to space lords. So that's neat. And Ryan, I actually think I'm going to give you 1 setback because I don't think you've had to foment rebellion before. That's very... It's a rare.
Yeah, right now he's just trying to figure out how pro or con. I
totally get that, but like I'm trying to cross-check this against other characters you play who are very good at this. But like as an Inquisitor, generally you're putting down rebellions, you're not starting them, and also you're like an Inquisitor in like name and necklace only. Like you're.
Well,
this is like your 3rd week on the job.
If we're looking at like his list, basically his strengths are either manipulation and coercion or deception. Like he will lean on you or he will just lie outright. Like he tends not to be the let's all be in this together, rah rah sis boom bah from the front. Like that's not in his wheelhouse.
And to be clear, I'm absolutely with you that this isn't, you aren't doing this action, you're just trying to get a sense, like my dear sweet fucked over car dealer guy, of like what's going on with Fahokwagas.
All right, let's see what happens.
Come on, Fahokwagas.
1 advantage, but 2 failure.
Okay. And he just looks at you in that way that only really Ken Jeong can, with just that like wide-eyed, like vaguely manic terror. And it just says like, oh, we scour them so good. We scour them with our fists. We scour them with our secret knives. We scour them until they can't possibly rebel anymore. Because that's what Lord Vicodin wants. And Lord Vicodin is the Emperor's favorite.
Yes. See, Marni, so they won't actually ever rise up in rebellion because the scouring was too efficient.
You feel like a sharp elbow jab into your ribs, and you just hear Attikus like clear his throat and go, "Biggest Richardus."
Oh yes. This is excellent.
Yeah, give me a deception. Oh boy, this one isn't going to be pretty though. So
I didn't even catch that. Damn.
Neither did I. Thanks, Tyler.
Fuck.
It truly was a Pepsi challenge. Okay, so difficulty of 3. Gonna give you a boost dice from
reminding him.
the robotic nudge. Yeah. You start to hear him kind of go, wait a minute. And kind of his pace slows.
How many of them are there?
It's just him.
It's just him. Now, there are still people like all around you now. They're just not swarming
Right.
you. They're milling about doing tasks. They're James Bond villains in the background, just like cranking wheels and pulling levers.
4 successes, but 2 threat in the weirdest combo in a while.
Huh.
Okay. So he stops and he says, wait a minute. You know, because he succeeded, he's like, I heard what Hugh said before they shot him for insolence. You go by Dickus, not Richard. I'm sorry. I've been very rude. I've been calling you by a formal name, like I'm addressing your father. I am very sorry. I will be much more attentive to names in future.
Oh, that's very good of you. Thank you so much, Marni. And I just rest a hand on his shoulder. And I'm like, oh, am I saying the wrong name? I suffered a head injury, as you can see from my eyes and ears, and the implants are bad. So I have something called name blindness. That's why you're Marni. And I'm sure you've met my friends Marni and Marni.
He just nods knowingly, and he's like, oh, I see. Yeah. You're like the listicles, and he like looks at Marni and Attikus, and he's like, robots, am I right? Okay, Marni, and he like pats you on the shoulder and says, well,
No, I'm Francis. You're Marni.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great. Okay, so I'm Marni, sure. And he just says, wow, I'll have to make sure I introduce him properly to everyone I see so that he knows who he's talking to and everyone knows him. That way he won't get lost in the gift shop. And he continues to take you that way very enthusiastically, if somewhat misguidedly. You realize that if Fahugwagas does in fact bring you into the gift shop, odds are he's going to introduce you to everyone possible to help accommodate you. Because he's actually very good at this. It's his first time doing it. He's always wanted to lead someone to the gift shop, and it's never really happened for him. So, like, space lords. This could be a problem. What do? Do you allow him to lead you in, or do you do something else?
The moment we have an idea of where it is, Valentyne would very much like to either signal one of the others or kill him. Like, this guy's got to go. He's not coming into the store with us.
Okay. You're moving through a fairly public area. People are kind of distracted. There's not really a good, like, shadowy alley around these parts. How do you intend to kill him?
Maybe before we go, it's just a matter of like,
This shed over here, we were having a quick little look about.
We've already been walking, right, Tom? You're saying
Yeah, you've been walking for a bit.
right.
So
Okay,
yeah,
never mind.
you're getting closer to the front gates now.
And I think where he is, Valentyne will just look at Vogelbaum or whatever his name is, and then he'll look at what's the name of this fucking little wiener guy?
Fahugwagas.
I'm not learning that.
Nice and
It's
easy.
You already
Vogelbaum.
called him Marni.
Yeah, we're gonna kill him soon.
But
So
I think Valentyne's just gonna look around and see like the crowd on the street and look back to nerdy guy, whose name Marni. Look back to his new Marni, and he'll look at him and he'll lean in and then he'll step back and stop and go, "Did you just say the Emperor isn't the best? I'll scour you!" And just start beating the shit out of him and hope that the crowd will join us in killing this guy in a show of loyalty.
And of course, I will immediately back you up, obviously. It's like, do not defile the Emperor's name!
yeah, good old Cockney. You what? And just
And Valentyne's yelling like, "You could kill everyone in this sector if they don't help us cover this up!"
As you scour Fahugwagas, he, as you know, right before his skull implodes, he he sees the gift shop and he sees the door open, and inside the shimmer of trinkets, the trinkets that he and his family have spoken about seeing for generations. Like, they've always wanted to just know what's inside. And the last thing his eyes see as the scouring continues is that truly it seems to just be bottles of Vicodin. The same thing that they see and handle and work with every day. It's not a magical treasure trove. It's a place where you buy things to remind them that you had shore leave and they didn't. And he just lets out a little, oh, as a fist crushes his head.
Yeah. He just watches giant robot fingers come across his vision and then crush him.
So ended the golden dream of Fahugwagas.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter as Attikus Vis, Laura Elizabeth at EL Hamstring on Twitter as Marni Schwartzenberger, and our Game Master Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's show logo was created by Decapitated Markers at Decapitated Marker on Twitter. That's MRKR. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ads use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, provided by freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. We have merchandise available at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, and most importantly, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics. Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christian Menicola, Long Long, the Half-Blind Prophet, James Cuellar, Charles Grams, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, One True Artistry, Orion Birchfield, Lord of Bradovic, Noel Lewis, Scott Garland, Anthony Griffin, Chet Awesome Laser, Jordan Neesmith, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Taryn Hefner, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.